What's up everyone, MK Tom Brady here. In this video, I'm going to go over two pro players' opinion as recently people have begun to speak out on how they kind of see MK11 now, a little over a year in. They've had quite some time to digest how the game is, and they want to give their opinion. And I agree on a lot of this, and I kind of want to read it and go over it. I'm going to start in the order that I read it. So the two players are Combat and Tweety, two players I have a lot of respect for. They're two of the best players in the world. And I first read Combat's tweet, and he referenced Tweety's tweet. So I'm going to read it in the order that I read it in, and then I'm going to weigh in on this. Okay, so let's look at the tweets, and here we go. So Combat says, all right, I saw Tweety's tweets about his thoughts about the game, so here are mine. Out of all the NRS games, I guess that he's played, this is one of my favorite by far because I feel like it focuses on neutral and outplaying your opponents more than the others. I think Combat's very young. I believe he only played Injustice 2, and I don't think he played Injustice 1. He's very young. He might have, but not competitively, I don't think. So we're looking at maybe MKX, Injustice 2, and this game here. But out of all the games he's played, this is his favorite because he feels more so than the others. This game focuses on neutral, outplaying your opponent more than the others, etc. Okay. There are definitely two huge issues, though. It says Fatal Blows. This mechanic has got to change for sure. It's a free use armor special that gets you 30 to 35% on raw hit and gives characters a threat a 40 to 50% unbreakable combo every time they reach under 30% for getting outplayed. It's also not a guaranteed punish since some of them push you back and are super fast on startup. It creates just this ugly mind game at the end where the person who was losing has the advantage to take the round over the person who's winning. And what he means by this is you have some characters, for example, Cabal, Jax, Aaron Black, etc., that have these full screen, Frosty's full screen supers. That say you have 50% and they have 30, and there's maybe 50 seconds left on the clock, 40 seconds on the clock. All of a sudden they're going to start going ham, right? Throwing projectiles at you. Cabal's going to go ham with air saws and all this other stuff, all this stuff that he's going to do. Because anything you do, you throw any special out, the match is over, right? Or it's a huge comeback mechanic. A lot of times in these types of situations, whoever wins or loses that round comes down to what happens when Fatal Blow is active. And it's almost like the threat of it shuts the entire match down. So what he's saying is you have this huge neutral fight. Then all of a sudden somebody gets access to an armored special and you feel like this special goes full screen and is super fast. I can't move. I can't do any specials. I can't do anything but approach slowly. So while your neutral has been slowed down, the other player is free to go ham and do whatever they want because God forbid you stick a move out, you throw a special, etc. They're just going to end the round right there. And they are awarded this by getting outplayed and losing. And the punish is a lot of times you'll block it in some instances, and because of the pushback and the distance it was done at and you weren't ready for it, you missed the punish and they're going to get it back, and now you're in a scramble to kind of end the match before they get that fatal blow back. So he says, to change this, I recommend it requiring all four bars to do. So basically saying both bars of offense, both bars of defense. He said, but that could be too much. Other changes I have are remove armor from them and make them have no pushback at all so you can safely punish if you react on time. I would also tone the damage down so they do less or scale more because of being a 40% unbreakable machine when you're losing is dumb. Then he goes on to say, the other mechanic I strongly dislike are breakaways. That mechanic allows me to do whatever I want, and if I know you don't have Fatal Blow and I have the health lead, because it's a brain-dead mechanic that is used sometimes to punish the person for doing a combo. So what he's saying is you don't have Fatal Blow, you're going to do a combo, he breaks away, and if he breaks away at the right point, he actually can get a combo for it. And if you try to stop him from breaking away, he doesn't have to break away at that point. It causes a dumb mind game where you get no damage, or if you actually go for damage, in some cases, he can break away and get up and get a full combo. For this, my changes would be removing them and adding back some other system like breakers, or just making a universal button to armor break, because the armor breaks in this game right now aren't balanced for everyone, where Cabal has a godlike one and Sonya has a garbage one. Or a lot of other characters have garbage ones. Other than those mechanics, jump threes are broken, but those could be fixed easily if they were attended to. But the issue with the game, I feel right now, is breakaway and fatal blows. These two mechanics are the way they are right now. Just give the person losing an advantage and add ugly mind games. And then he tags a bunch of players. And he referenced Tweety, so I want to read you Tweety's comments as well. He says, I just don't like MK11 really. I've been delusional about it because I don't want to be that guy. But having no offline majors to work towards has really opened my eyes to that. And basically what he's saying is a lot of the fun is competing. Tweety's been competing ever since MKX. He's been a top player toward the end of MKX, or the middle, I should say. And Justice 2, he was pretty much top through the entire game. And in MK11, he's been top throughout the life of the game thus far. And competing is part of the fun for him. Without the competition, he's saying, now I'm going to look back at the game and kind of, in retrospect, without the fun of competing, here's how I feel. And he goes on to say a lot of the same things that Combat says. So two of these guys, who are two of the top players in the world, kind of feel the same way about the same mechanics. He says, Fatal Blow and Breakaway are the reasons, if anyone's wondering. I just can't get over those mechanics. He goes on to say, I spent the whole game's lifespan grinding when there's something important coming up, like Combo Breaker or Evo, or even Final Combat. Then when there's not much to grind for, I fall behind. I blame my laziness, but I honestly think I don't like the game. I love competing. It's my favorite thing to do. And I think that it outweighs my issues with the game when there's something big to compete in. I can relate to this. A lot of my 20-something years, almost 30 years of competing at the highest level, some of these games I've played are probably some of the most unfun games you'll ever see. But it was the fun of the competition that allowed me to look past all the flaws of these games. There are some people like MK9 players who look at that game through rose-tinted glasses. But to me, as a competitor, some aspects of that game, while they were really fun, I can't forget how when the game was done and there were no more tournaments, I almost felt relief that I never have to deal with this again or that again or that again. I've served my time and I'm done. But the competition made things so fun. And not that I'm saying MK9 is whatever, but every game, no matter how beloved or how much you think you love it, has huge flaws. And when the competition aspect of the game wears off, all you're left with a lot of times are those flaws kind of staring you in the face. So much like a lot of games did for me, the same thing is going on here. So he says, like with this Panther tourney this week, I'm scrambling last second to get good again if they're not playing for a month. I'm not even that mad about it, to be honest. I'll probably just hang around and then really shoot to be the best in the world with Injustice 3 or MK12, whatever comes next. Surely they won't stick with a resourceless Super and Breakaway. And that's what he says. So here are two of the best players in the world kind of giving their opinion here on the game, in which they both cite the same two issues: the breakaway mechanic and the fatal blow. So what I want to call your attention to, and we're going to go over some of these right now, and we're going to show exactly what they're talking about here. So for example, we're going to use, Combat mentioned Cabal, but he mentioned Cabal for reasons of the breakaway mechanic. But we're going to use him because he does have a full screen fatal blow. So, or even Noob Saiba, but we're going to go with Cabal here. So I'll be the Cabal player, and we'll just pick Baraka, whoever. So here's what we're talking about here. So say the Baraka player has built a lead up. Say he's got about 45% of his health. He's outplaying the Cabal player. He's beating him in neutral. And he now has... And also, by the way, some of you guys that say this game is not so much of a neutral game, you have to take into account online play. There are some things online that you would be able to guard more so on reaction. But, you see it and you just barely miss the block. Some of this stuff is online. So some of this game has no neutral, is a product of online. Some of it are specials that could be toned down, but that's a character by character basis. These two players are talking about a fundamental flaw within the actual system of the game, which, because some people may complain about Jackie or Cetrion or whoever, but that's just a character thing. If those characters aren't on the screen, you won't have those problems. They're talking about fundamental flaws that are always present in every matchup when this situation happens. So it's not just like, a one character thing. I'm only using Cabal here as an example, but pretty much Fatal Blows in general cause this because they have armor. And a lot of times they shut the match down because of the armor that they possess and the damage that they do. But we're going to go over an extreme case here. We're going to go over Cabal here. So I'm going to put Cabal here at 30%, right? And let's go here to 50. And let's go here. All right, so 50%. So in this instance here, you would say, the player has the advantage, right? So here's what Fatal Blows do that are ridiculous. So right now, you would say the player has advantage. The player who is having the life lead, you would say, has the advantage because the onus is on the Cabal player to take this, to even the match up. The problem is now the Cabal has Fatal Blow. If Baraka does anything, projectile, anything at all, Fatal Blow is coming out, it goes full screen. All right, so obviously it shuts the match down in that aspect. Cabal is also, he doesn't care, right? So because you can't shoot any projectiles, what he can do is he can say, okay, since you're not going to shoot anything, I can get some life back here. Now, while this does take him out of Fatal Blow territory, he's also getting some life back. So the threat of Fatal Blow is going to allow him to get some life back here. He can also, try to zone you with, projectiles here, or he's doing stuff like this because he doesn't really, if you're trying to do anything at all to stop him from doing this, anything at all, right? Then Fatal Blow comes out, and that's it. So pretty much he's jumping, he's going ham, he's doing whatever, and you have to be very careful. You can't move, you can't breathe wrong, nothing, because Fatal Blow is going to come out. And then, sometimes if you block it and you get caught off guard, look at this pushback here, right? He's pushed so far back, you blocked it, it's minus 35, but again, you have some distance. So if you're caught off guard, just in your human, I'm surprised, so your delayed reaction, a lot of characters are going to miss the punish here. And then he gets it back, and then you have the same situation all over again. And it isn't just Cabal that causes this. Jax, Aaron Black, Frost, Noob Saibot, a lot of characters cause these problems. And even if you aren't those characters, a character like Baraka, Sonya, etc., characters who can literally just, they're losing and they're in neutral. Just missed it. There we go. And neutral, and then all of a sudden, Fatal Blow comes out, right? And you get hit. Or whatever, they get a jump in. Like, look at this kind of range here. Or stuff like this. Or they get the crushing blow to Fatal Blow. And then look at this life that's going to lose. So they're like ridiculous damage when they hit off situations. And then combat also brought up Breakaway. The thing is, even if you have 50%, if Cabal hits you, you can't break away because he has Fatal Blow. So If you go to breakaway, the match is over. He's going to take over 50. And this is before we even get to the armor breaking mechanic, just in the fatal blow mechanic alone. So, fatal blow also, you have 50%. If you get hit, you know, if I break away at 50%, he's going to kill me, because now the fatal blow is going to do unscaled damage. And that on top of the combo that just happened. So the next thing that both Tweety and Combat cite are the breakaway mechanic. I'm going to use Sub-Zero as this example simply because Sub-Zero is the character I play with. However, many characters are victimized by this. This is not a Sub-Zero issue. Many characters are victimized by this. So originally in the beta, when people were doing, breakaway stuff, what they did a combat cast and somebody says, okay, well, for breakaway, you would just do an uppercut, right? And then they break away and you get a chunk of damage and they're out of their bar. Okay, so here's the problem here. This only applies for certain characters. As the game began to move on in its life cycle, players begin to realize that against most characters, you break away at certain points. So, for example here, let's put her on breakaway. Breakaway fast. So, you would not break away right here. So, say he freezes you, and then he does this. Like, you would never break away there. Now, this is what the breakaway mechanic is telling you to do, right? Or something like this, right? For either an uppercut, oops, I didn't dash forward. So you either get an uppercut, right? For 27, or hey, they added armor break, tight, and I think he gets 40 something off this. I don't even know why I'm missing it now. Here we go, 42%. So you say, oh, that's pretty cool. You uppercut or whatever when you think they're going to break away. The problem is that against a lot of characters, players only tend to break away in situations where they know they can potentially gain a combo for breaking away. So then it's worth that situation. So for example here, right, if Sub-Zero were to do something like this, right, or let's do something like this here. I didn't want to do that. 22%, she doesn't break away. She keeps all her bars. Same thing, something like this, right? You do this, and if you're going to do the armor break, it doesn't work unless they break away. And if you go to uppercut, right, you lose, it's 30%, but they keep their bar, and they still didn't break away. This is in just about every single situation. So against a character like Sub-Zero, you wouldn't break away until you see back one. Because then whenever you see back one while airborne, this is coming out, and now breakaway, I have a really good chance of getting a full combo punish here. Or in situations like this. And you see the 1-2 and you break away because if he does this, you break away and he can't guard, you get up and you get a full combo. So a lot of times when you're doing stuff to punish breakaways, they're not even going to break away. They're only breaking away at points when they get a full combo. And then it's this dumb mind game in which you say, okay, since they're going to break away, what I'm going to do is one hit, right, and stop it. And then 15% and they don't break away this time, and you're like, oh, I thought they were going to break away. Or something where you do something like this, and then you do like a jump punch into an uppercut, and they don't break away, and you do under 30% damage instead of an actual full combo. And they didn't break away, and you're like, oh, I lost that opportunity, or, whatever. So the breakaway mechanic pretty much rewards the person getting hit. It forces an ugly mind game in which you do considerably less damage and still don't take their bar, so now they have their bar still to keep enforcing the same mind game. And then when you go to do some actual damage, to inflict actual real damage to them, then they still have that bar, and it's a mind game of, are they going to escape here or not? And then if you say, okay, they're going to escape, and you cut it short, you do no damage, and if you go for the damage and they escape, they get a full combo on you. So basically, it's rewarding the person who's losing, who made the wrong decision. They made the wrong read, they got hit, and yet they have a second chance mechanic that not only gets out of the damage, that puts them in position to combo you for comboing them. And we see these things happen in some scramble situations. So sometimes, for example, you go to come in and you go to do, like some characters go to come in and they go to do an attack, right? And the guy jumps. He's neutral jumping. You go to do the attack into whatever combo you're going to do, but the guy neutral jumps. You're not even planning. You don't even know they're neutral jumping. You're coming in and do something in neutral. They break away immediately. The rest of your combo string is coming out. They get out and get a full combo. And they weren't already in a combo state for you to adjust. So sometimes there are on-the-fly combo situations in which you didn't even know you were going to put them in an airborne state. They just happened to, in that moment, be jumping or doing something as, like, say you're doing Aaron Black's back 2 string. They neutral jump as you're doing back 2-2-2. They break away. The whole string is coming out. You get up, full combo punish. And you weren't already comboing them. You can't base the game on the opponent's always going to be holding up. You're coming to do something in neutral, and now you're punished. You actually did hit them, but because of the breakaway and the awkward position they happen to get hit, you weren't prepared for it to be a combo situation, at least airborne. They break away, they get a full combo on you. And these are some things that if you're at the highest possible level, like a player like Combat or a player like Tweety, these kind of things irritate you because you feel like, you know what, I made the right read there, and somehow because of some awkward situation and you're airborne and you break away, I'm losing a full combo now. Like, I'm being punished for me hitting you. Or for a fatal blow. Hey, I'm being punished because I took you down to this part of your life bar, and now my reward for this is you shut the match down. I can't do anything. I have to move on eggshells. So all this neutral we were playing, the neutral that I was playing to put you in that position, to put you at that life deficit, now that's gone, and you now have the advantage. You get to do whatever you want, and God forbid I breathe wrong, the match is over. And to Combat's point of the armor breaks, there are some armor breaks that just happen on everything. Cabals, Hook Slam, Gearuses, Sand Trap. They're just super practical armor breaks. And there are some that aren't even viable. They may never hit. Some hit but do nothing anyway, like Johnny Cage's flip kick armor breaks. I guess it does a little more damage, but it doesn't really... You might as well do an uppercut at that point. So it doesn't really matter. So really, the armor breaking in the game is not very balanced. Some characters, because of their armor breaking, are pretty much doing almost full combos on you because you can't afford to break away. Like Cabal is going to full combo you almost every time, right? Or close to it. Just because you don't want to break away. Then he still puts you in a bad spot and you have no defensive meter. So he's getting really good combo opportunities because of how practical his armor breaking mechanic is. And then to the flip side of that, it's not so much I think that Jackie is necessarily broken. It's that she again abuses the breakaway system. Whereas, hey, she might break away out of your stuff and get full combos, etc. You don't get to break away from her. I mean, really, there's almost no real point to break away, because even if you were to put breakaway on, for example, let's put breakaway on fast. I haven't done this Jackie combo in a while, so let's see how long it takes me to do. I don't want to do it and then get accidental crushing blows. So, okay, so let's do, let's see. No, messed it up. That's 42%. So why even break away there? When the full combo is going to do like 44, maybe, in open space, or something close to that. Why even break away? You've already lost. If you break away, you're going to lose 42. The worst he's going to do is like 2 or 3% more. So you have these characters that have extreme mobility that's put you in a bad situation. And it's not so much that her game is like whatever. We understand she plays her own game, and nobody wants a game in which every character plays the same. But it's like some characters do whatever, and they don't even deal with the breakaway system. Meanwhile, you are a slave to it. And the breakaway system in itself is not balanced. And the fatal blow system in itself is not balanced. The way some characters control the whole screen when they have it, the way some fatal blows are ridiculously hard to punish because of their pushback and how fast they come out, the fact that they have armor, and it's just a huge issue. So we have 2 players here really talking about this. Then we also have combat bringing in the jump threes. There are some situations when an opponent is cornered. Like there is a magic distance in this game in which an opponent is cornered that makes it very difficult to anti-air certain jump threes. Simply because you have them cornered and they can't really respace. So you can space your jump three in a situation that even if they read it is next to, not totally impossible, I guess, if you're super on point with your uppercut. But for the most part, in reaction to the jump, it's almost impossible to catch. Like we've all been there. We've all had these situations here where it's like something like this and the guy does a jump kick. Like this right here is almost impossible to anti-air. Like that is almost impossible. You know, like something like this maybe, but something like this, good luck anti-airing that. And jump threes just have situations in which the priority and the collision they have are just intensified. And you know it's coming. You make the read. The opponent got impatient, but you can't do anything anyway but block it or even flawless block it. And I don't even know that you should have to flawless block in that instance. So basically, I agree 100% with those two say. Because I'm a Sub-Zero player, I have the huge issue, obviously, with other things like creeping ice. The fact that, okay, if it's just flawless blockable, that's one thing. But you have characters just going right through it and full comboing me. But yet a character like Cetrion, you can't do that to her tornadoes. It just doesn't seem very fair. So to me, those instances also weigh in. I understand you don't have to do that. You can always pick another character. But that kind of stuff just looks bad. It makes the game look unpolished. I agree that this game is more fun than like an MKX or even Injustice 2. If you want, not fun, but I guess more solid. I don't know. I didn't get into Injustice 2 to the level like Tweety, etc. or Combat. But this is a fun game. This is one of my favorite games. But the real problem is it's those little things that turn me off and make me not want to play. Like when you sit down and play for fun and you deal with fatal blows and the breakaway system and certain moves not hitting or really buggy stuff that really is pretty easy to fix, that's a huge turnoff. And I would add one more thing. I would add the forward roll. I don't know, maybe Tweety or Combat can comment on this, but I would add the forward roll to this. Because really, when you knock somebody down, you should have advantage. The problem is the wake-up system is a little imbalanced in that people say, so basically I've started pressuring on wake-up constantly now, or almost constantly, just because I spent my life of the game trying to play it safe. But the problem is if you don't play the wake-up system, a lot of times you're keeping your opponent in the match a lot longer than they should be. And you have to force them to make a decision. You can't let them sit there and hold on a resource and not have to be afraid about being thrown or pressured, etc. The problem is the forward roll. So, much like the fatal blow, which I agree should be tied to resource, right? Because you use the fatal blow, and if they block it, and even if you lose the round, right? You start the next round with all your resources still. Like, so say you have full offense, full defense. You use fatal blow, it didn't work out. The next round, you're going to get your fatal blow back, and you start throwing all your resources. If it was something where it cost both defensive bars, you lose that round, and now you start the next round without defensive resource, it's a huge deal because now not only do you not have fatal blow until you get back to the threshold, the low life threshold, you don't have any defensive bar to get off the ground, to break away out of combos, and it makes you think twice. Is that something I really want to sacrifice? Am I willing to just YOLO this, lose this round? Because right now it's like, so what? If I lose the first round, who cares? I have the second round. Yeah, I'm down a round, but I don't lose my resources. I get to move back at the next round. It's whatever, right? I was going to probably lose this round anyway. Now it gives them something to think about. It's hard to make a decision when the person is playing for free. So it costs them nothing. So they do a fatal blow. If they get it, hey, I win. If I don't get it, it doesn't cost me any of my resources. So I start the next round with full resource, and I start the round knowing I get my fatal blow back if I ever get back to that low life threshold. So really, it's hard for you to make a read because it's to them, hey, I'm going to lose anyway. Why not do it? So you're stuck there praying for your life because why not? Now, if it costs them something, say both defensive bars, then the next round, now they can't break away. You could say, now you can make a read. When there's no cost, when there's no price, it's like playing poker for free. Imagine you're playing poker with your money, but they have nothing to lose because they're playing for free. It's so hard to read them because they can lose every hand and not care, but they can read you because you're losing your own money. They have no resource. They have nothing to lose. How can you make the read when it's who cares? Now, if you can say, now, are they willing to come off this fatal blow? And if they're wrong and they lose, start the next round empty on resource. And then you can make a decision because it has actually cost them something that has consequence going into the remainder of the fight. And this is not something that isn't present. So to Combat's point, this is a great improvement. Or it would be should they do it. Now I want to talk about the forward roll. So delay wake-ups have been in Mortal Kombat since MK9. The delay and even wake-up buttons, people have done... This is not the first game people have done wake-up jump. In MK9, we did wake-up jump too, because the wake-up attacks, some of them were really devastating. They didn't cost any resource. They were completely invincible. They didn't require a meter. So some wake-up attacks put fear into you. So the guys would get up and jump or attack, and they wouldn't care. Or delay wake-up buttons is not an MK11 exclusive. And any Mortal Kombat 9 player, I'm not here to call anybody out, but anyone who says that nobody has done a wake-up jump, even going back to MK9, is a complete lie. So I know I've done it, and I'm certainly not the only one. So delay wake-up is fine. But the problem really here is the forward roll. What I mean by that is to knock somebody down and they say, well, just option select down one or something like that. This goes back to the same second and third chance mechanic that Combat and Tweety was talking about to begin with. The person who is knocked down, much like the person who has lost life. So what makes some of these characters that have neutral breakers really powerful is the wake-up system. Hey, they tried to go to their neutral break mechanic. They were wrong. They're knocked down. What's it going to be, though? Not just the delay wake-up, up 3, up 2. None of those, more times than not, those aren't leading to combos. As long as you make the right read, and more times than not, you can make that read if you're the better player and you've knocked them down. But the problem is when they add the forward roll mechanic. It's just another mechanic. So you knock them down, you should be rewarded for that. But to say, okay, well, let me not overextend myself because they have access to a forward roll. Now, even if they have no offensive bar, using just 1 bar of defensive resource allows them to forward roll. So, look, they're playing all willy-nilly and careless. They spent 1 defensive bar and both offensive bars. And even still, after all that shit they did, all those mistakes, you knock them down, you go to pressure, and they still roll forward and kill you for it. All the mistakes they made, all of the mistakes they made during the fight getting hit, getting knocked down, wasting their resource, having bad resource management. None of it matters as long as they have that one golden sliver. Now, think about this. Here's an opponent you're outplaying. They have lost all their resource but one defensive bar. And you say, okay, I don't want to worry about this right here. Because again, if they're going to forward roll, right? I'm dead, right? I'm dead. So if I go to throw, they get up, down one, uppercut, etc. So what happens here is people say, oh, just do it down one. Do it down one, option selected. Think about what that's saying. Going back to the same principles of the breakaway or the fatal blow, favoring the person who made the mistake, because the breakaway gives them a chance to get up and full combo you in some situations and causes an ugly mind game in a lot of those situations. And so does fatal blow. So you knock somebody down, right? And you do down one. Again, let's think about this. Put it on auto block. Think about that. You knock somebody down and they get up and they guard it. What kind of pressure is that? Think about that. To be a person who has made such an error that they have been put in a bad spot, match on the line, knocked down, they've wasted both offensive bars, even one defensive bar, and you go to pressure and they roll past you and kill you. So what do you do with the match on the line? You do it down one. And they block it, and somehow they get some of their own pressure started and come back and win. When if you could have just, made the right read on their wake up, right? With the right wake up timing, right? And chipped them out. But you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that because, they might forward roll, especially when fatal blow is involved. And you do this. This favors the person who has been knocked down. The fact that you want to be safe, so you just say, let me just check him real quick. Let me option select it. Imagine what an advantage it is in a fighting game to be knocked down and to have your opponent forced to do a down one just to make sure you don't steal the round. What a huge luxury. Forward roll should cost 2 bars of resource. One defensive and one offensive, because it is both an offensive and defensive option. That's the only other thing I would change. Now, as far as character balance, in my opinion, that's a different issue. I believe that a lot of these character balance issues would be solved if you have, fatal blows toned down, breakaway toned down, and the forward roll toned down so that you can actually pressure some of these neutral breaking characters without having to option select with a down one just in case as you go for your pressure. So again, I think that really makes the game, a lot of these characters that have some of these neutral breaking mechanics, there is opportunity to punish. But the problem is you punish them and they break away or gain fatal blow. Think about it. You're doing some type of neutral breaking mechanic. The person's outplaying you. Now you have fatal blow and the entire match changes. So really, these mechanics, I agree, need to be looked into. I do agree on the jump threes, jump fours, etc. I do agree. I think even Combat and even Tweety would probably agree on the forward roll. It is an offensive and defensive resource. And saying that option select with down one, isn't that really favoring the person who got knocked down and is on the ground? That instead of pressure, down one. Backwards roll is only a defensive mechanic. A lot of times you can hunt pressure that doesn't move you forward enough for backward roll to punish it. But forward roll pretty much keeps them right next to you. And it's a huge problem. If forward roll went farther so that they had no opportunity to combo you, then it would be different. But leaving it right next to you, it is not just a defensive option, it is also an offensive option. And anyone out there who says they don't use forward roll to hunt combos That's a complete lie. It's used to initiate offense as much as it's used for defense. So these are some of the things I would look into. Now, again, a lot of you are going to point to character-specific stuff. Like myself, I can point to creeping ice, right? Being very inconsistent. Why is a character going through it? Why is a character going... A situation where some characters are jailed. Now this character is not jailed. They go through it like the move is not there. Little inconsistencies like that are kind of buggy. But that's just a one character thing, right? So character by character. That's not a system thing. Tweety and Combat, we're talking about things that are ingrained in the system. And as such, you are forced to deal with them in every single match. No matter what character is chosen, these things are a constant and must be dealt with throughout the entirety of every single fight. So hopefully something gets done about this. They said they plan on supporting MK11 for quite a while. Hopefully more players speak out on this and that their voices can be heard. This game is so close to where it is. I agree with Combat. It's very close. But I also agree with Tweety where a lot of these second and third chance mechanics are a huge turnoff. And they make you say, why? If there's no tournaments, competing is fun. I used to love to compete. I didn't care how shitty the game was. If there was a tournament, I wanted to travel. I wanted to compete. But if you took the tournament away, and now I'm stuck just dealing with what am I playing for besides enjoyment? And if there are aspects of the game that ruin my enjoyment, I'm not very motivated to play. And when you take that fun factor away, not saying the game is entirely unfun, but certain things about the game make some players dread it because you don't feel rewarded so much as you feel punished for outplaying the opponent in certain situations, which is what these two excellent players were alluding to. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and stay tuned for more content.